Hi guys, it's Shay again. This is part 3 of the discrimination topic. Now, there's something that I mentioned in the first video. I wanted to ask you guys to help me spread the word. And the reason why is because the discrimination towards... There's a lot of discrimination in the world, especially with what's going on in the media and politics and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of discrimination towards races and genders and religions, but people don't talk about the discrimination that goes towards disabled. And yes, disabled a lot of times is a combination of the religions and races and cultures and all that kind of stuff. I get it, and genders. But in a way, it's also of its separate class. You know what I mean? It's a separate topic. Because people who are disabled, we tend to be one community, regardless of race and religion and gender. We all have one common goal, and that's just trying to survive our days without having major issues. Just trying to get through each day, and finding ways to help us do that by any means possible, whether it's assistance by having someone come to your home, or people who have assistive devices or people who have animals that help them. I personally am a big advocate for the animals. I wish that I knew how to check to see if I was a candidate for it, because people don't realize that someone who has... Not all people go through this, but a lot of people with diseases and with disabilities, and especially disabilities that tend to make you feel useless to do simplest of things, which as a Kienbocks sufferer is a big thing, because I get severely depressed. I may seem like I might be a happy-go-lucky, friendly. I'm always smiling, and I'm totally fine kind of person right now as I talk to you. But the truth of the matter is I'm very depressed. I don't leave my house very often. I tend to sleep all the time. My social life is very minimal. I'd love to be out there with my friends, partying, and have fun. I'd like to find love even, go out there and date and all that kind of, but to be honest, I'm just in pain. So it's almost like it's a nuisance to go out and do things. It's a nuisance to try and live your life the way you want to live it, because the majority of the time, physically, it makes everything harder. And you're almost so tired that you don't even want to attempt to do something, because you know it's going to be a struggle or frustrating or even just depressing. And it's just going to make you sad, and it's going to bring all that stuff back, and you're just going to internalize it. And it just makes it very hard to get through each day. So when you have discrimination on top of that, it makes it so much harder, because you feel like you're already hating yourself. I mentioned self-hatred before, but you really hate yourself. And it's not, even though it's not your fault you ended up in this situation, life just happened, a situation happened, you either injured yourself, or in my case, you had an issue with your work, but you hate yourself for the fact that simplest of things you can't do. And it makes you feel less human, because basic human activity I'm not even able to do right. Like, you feel like a failure. So having people treat you a certain way is awful, right? So for someone like us who have all those internal emotions and who really struggle to get out of bed each day and just live life, I feel like we would be a candidate to have a service animal, because there's something about taking care of something else, another living thing, that helps to get you out of all of that, focusing on something else. For example, when I've been able to babysit, or when I've been around my nieces or nephews, it's almost like I'm not disabled. It's almost like I am not as bad as I am. Even though I suffer for it afterwards, from lifting a child and cooking and playing, and you tend to feel it in your limbs a lot more, and you might be in pain for a few days afterwards because of the exertion, but it's almost worth it, because for that time being you felt normal. And so I feel like a service animal, or even just the services that kind of, even if it was like you went to a volunteer program and you helped train service dogs, I just feel like being around that kind of environment would really help us, or having that kind of responsibility, and as well as unconditional attention and love, and have that interaction, I feel would be really good for us. Now, I'm going to go back to the discrimination part. I kind of segued because that's a really important topic for me, is to find better services for us as well as the other stuff people suffer with. So the discrimination part. I wish there was some way that all of us with disabilities, not just the Kienbocks people who I'm initially trying to talk to, but the friends and the families and just people who decided to click on my videos and just listen. I think we as human beings should really rally together, not just for, women's rights or black rights or whatever else has been going on in our world right now, but also disability rights. Because in reality, I'll be honest, I am not able to get a handicap parking. I'm not. I've tried. I've mentioned before that I have a doctor who just doesn't seem to care about her patients at all and doesn't really want to do what would be beneficial to her patients. She just wants the money, and that's really all she cares about. But it's literally come to the point where, when Walmarts and some other stores, they have those pregnant parking spots, or pregnant and with children. Families, mostly it's for women, but you've seen the odd sign where it mentions families, so it could be a father with his children. But essentially, it's not, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of flack for this. Pregnant women out there, it's not just, it's mainly for pregnant women who are having a hard pregnancy, a tough pregnancy that makes walking very difficult because of whatever's going on. It's not just because you thought, I get a closer parking lot. It's not for everyone, right? It's essentially, it was made for the ones involving family is not the one I'm talking about, but the ones for women that are pregnant. It was mainly meant. I've talked to police officers. I've talked to the city who put out the signs. Is meant for women who are having difficult pregnancies. Pain and not being able to walk and on bed rest, those kinds of things. So their movement is limited. That's what it was meant for. However, they have no problem with us using it. So I am not a pregnant woman, but I park there. And before you jump down my throat and get angry at me, I will explain why. Because I am not able to get a handicap parking sticker or thing for my windshield, the only other place that I can park so that I don't have a long distance to carry my bags, and I can't always use a cart because a lot of times the wheels don't work and I literally fight it, and the movements of trying to jerk a cart all the time put me in severe pain so that I can't do anything for a couple of days. That's how bad it is. So I park there because it's closer and I don't have to carry my things very far. I've had people get mad at me for parking there. They don't know if I'm pregnant or not. They really don't give a shit. I don't physically look pregnant, so they yell at me. Now, I've actually spoken to a police officer and I've asked them, will I get a ticket if I park here and I'm not pregnant? He says no. It is not a permit holding parking spot. It is a courtesy. It's meant for people who need it. So someone who is disabled who can't get a permit is able to park there. And I've asked him, I have no choice. I need a parking spot closer, but for some reason, I'm not reaching the level that I need to be able to get a permit for disabled. Will I ever get in trouble parking there? He says no. So I have found a way to help myself. I wish there were a way to prove that people with injuries and disabilities above the waist were entitled to get permits, but it's very, very hard to get one. I'm going to continue talking in the next one. I'm running out of time. I hope you guys don't mind me talking about all this, and I hope that you are learning some things and maybe are able to help me with what's going on and what we can do for people like us in our future. Thanks. I'll see you in the next one.